All right. Can you guys see me? Hi, how are you? Let me know if you can hear me. I feel like you may not be able to hear me, so let me know. I'll wait till someone says that they can before I continue to talk. Hi guys. My goodness. Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for confirming that. So I'm so glad that you guys were able to stick around. I'm so sorry that I ended up late on this chat. I had a kiddo that I had partnered with his family in the hospital. He was just getting discharged from the hospital. And so I was there to kind of navigate the meeting. And so it took some time. So thank you so much for being sweet and for waiting. I truly apologize for that. You guys have busy lives too. So thank you very much. Hello, welcome. I see all your kind comments. So glad to be back too. Like I fought my instinct, which was to do a chat, do a video or something over the holidays. And I'm like, nope, I need to model self-care. So I didn't do it. But I wanted to. I wanted to. So let me go back and acknowledge all of you. I'm working with some new technology tonight. So you guys are going to be able to see your comments on the screen. So I'm going to put some of your comments up on the screen, and I think a lot of you are going to enjoy participating that way as well. So let me go back through the chat box and let me welcome you guys. I see Fairy Girl, Cherries, Jubilee, and Phoenix. Hello. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. I see Live Life. Hello. Welcome. And as a matter of fact, let me go through some of these things. Kyra Knows 144. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you as well. Let me go through some of these comments. Yes, I see you, Kyra Knows. Hello, Caitlin Brown. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight as well. Yes, thank you so much, Live Life. I appreciate that. Glad to see you, and Happy New Year to you as well. Rad Angel, hello. Welcome to the chat. Welcome. Let me keep going through some of this. Light Ink Z Productions, hello. So glad to have you tonight. Welcome and Happy New Year to you. I don't want to miss any of you. Sun Kiss Dark and Lovely, hello, welcome. Glad to have you. Happy New Year to you. I also see some new people. Bo 16, hello, welcome. Glad to see you. Daniel Reed, hello. Thank you for the confirmation. Glad to see you as well. There's a lot of people, so I'm going to continue and then I'm going to go ahead and jump into the content. Hello, B. Welcome. Glad to have you as well. Sean Hammer. Hello. Welcome. Jimin V. Jin. I hope I said that correctly. Yes. Hello. Good to see you too. Welcome to the chat. I see some new people. Shamika Williams, hello and welcome. Welcome. Glad to have you tonight. Judith Barrett, I hope that's right. Hello and welcome to you. All right, guys, for those I have missed, I will go ahead and continue on as I read through the comments section, but let's go ahead and jump into this content. So the thumbnail on my live chat tonight said the holidays are over, now what? And really what I meant by that is, yeah, so you guys, I'm gonna pull some of your comments in a little bit here. Really what I meant by that thumbnail, that titling that I used is, here we are in a brand new year, 2024, right? And the holidays literally pulls on you because everybody's kind of brainwashed during the holiday time. It pulls on you to be involved with family and to buy things and spend tons of money and put up with things that maybe you wouldn't put up with any other time during the year. And it not only drags your spirit down and your soul down, but it can also make you feel trapped and imprisoned. Some of you, most likely, like I did with my small immediate family, you may have had a peaceful Christmas, you may have had a lovely Christmas, but it still may not erase the fact that you've got this family, you've got this other extended family who you don't really want to be involved with. And maybe it's not extended, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's a sibling. You don't want to be bothered, right? So now the holidays are over. We made it through that shift. which feels like the whole entire world is stuck in a holiday. We made it through that shift and here we are. Now, what do we do with all those feelings that are left, right? Those feelings of inadequacy, those feelings of, I don't want to be involved with my toxic family, the feeling of, I just want to continue to live in peace. I don't want to have anything to do with my extended family. What do you do with all those internalized emotions, right? And you may also have some thoughts, maybe some regrets, that maybe you didn't text somebody, or maybe you didn't email someone, or maybe you didn't call them, or, they called you, but you treated them coldly, whatever the case may be. Here you are in January, and now you're probably sitting with all those emotions. So, I told a client a couple minutes ago, she came to my office. She was so sweet to drop off a belated Christmas card. And I said to her, I said, I'm surprised you made it through this holiday having lost your family. And she says to me, I just feel so bad. I just don't know how to be okay with not being okay. So let me repeat that. She says, I don't know how to be okay with not being okay. And so this live chat tonight is going to kind of help you navigate those waters a little bit. Okay. I'm looking at you guys. You guys are commenting and commenting. I love it. Oh, did I freeze? Tell me if I froze. No. Okay. Let me know, someone, if I froze. If I did, I'm so unhappy with this. Hello, Annie Walker. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. I am not a big fan of the holidays either. It's too commercialized. Religiously, I participate with family and I connect with them. On the other side of that, I can't deal with the commercialism. It's way too much. Let me know if I froze, guys. If I did, I will fix it. Jim and Vijin says those lingering feelings for me are sadness that I don't have the family that I deserve or need. I didn't send holiday cards out either for the first time ever. Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people feel like that. Oh, thank you so much, Phoenix. I'm so glad I'm not frozen. Okay, thank you, Cherry's Jubilee. Thank you. Okay, wonderful. Thank you, guys. I appreciate you for clarifying that for me. Let me just acknowledge Craig Samuels. Hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to have you. And thank you for confirming I'm not frozen. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Wonderful. Okay. All right. Barbara Cludio, I think, says I didn't attend Christmas gathering. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. For those of you who aren't fans of holidays, how did you feel being a part of maybe a redefined holiday? If you were, I had a coworker talk to me the other day about this. She's like, I redefined what the holidays meant for me because I don't want to be connected to my toxic family. So let me know in the comment section how you felt this past Christmas. Thank you, Phoenix. I appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the content. All right, guys. And I'm navigating so much right now, so be patient with me. If I could only show you what's going on behind the scenes, you would probably feel overwhelmed. Okay, so let's talk about this. Okay, guys. So family toxicity. My video that I did 2 years ago went viral right on Christmas Day. Okay, so it shot up from 60,000 views to over 135,000 views, and it literally went across YouTube viral during the holidays. And there's one reason why, and the statistics behind the scenes shows me why. And here's what happened on Christmas Eve. There were lots of people searching YouTube for one specific term. You ready for this, guys? It was first of all, the term was toxicity, but the sentence that was typed into the YouTube search box is, how do I deal with my toxic family? That was the number one keyword. And because my video was associated with that, it caused the video to go viral. And on Christmas Day, I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh my God, how is this video going viral? And it's been on this channel for almost 3 years. And it's because for some reason, this past Christmas, there were a lot of people unhappy with their families. And they were searching YouTube, looking for specific videos on how do I manage my family and cope with them during the holidays. So this term toxicity is pretty big. Family toxicity on YouTube, it's pretty big. And when you hear professionals like myself say something like family toxicity, here's what we mean, okay? There are internal and external conflicts that happens within a toxic family. There are internal and external conflicts. The internal conflicts would be something like an affair, a sibling rivalry, being abused and neglected, being, traumatized by a parent, seeing your mom or dad in a situation where they're physically fighting each other, having to deal with your own mental health issues. The external conflicts tend to revolve around society. So there may be bullying or harassment. There may be untreated mental illness. There may be substance abuse. Both internal and external conflicts is what we're talking about when we talk about a toxic family. And as we go along in this chat, I'm going to try to wrap up by 8:15, 8:10. I'm going to have given you some ideas as to how to heal and move forward if you are dealing with a toxic family. It's really not easy at all, because not only do you have to fight the internal forces of your family, which often says family is everything. You're supposed to be connected to your family no matter what, even if they abuse you. That is your sister. Don't talk to her like that. Don't walk away. I know you guys have been fighting for many years, and I know she has degraded you. I know she has called you names and talked bad about you and pit people against you, but that's your sister. Just go along, right? All of those things I'm going to teach you as we go along how to cope with, but that is an internal conflict as well. That is your sister over there, that is your brother, get along no matter what. I'm sure you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. It's not a healthy dynamic at all. Now, when I'm doing, as I've been doing all this week, therapy with people who are suffering from the holidays and suffering with a very toxic family dynamic, there's a couple of things that I encourage them to do. And that is identify, and I'm going to walk you through this in 2 seconds. That is to identify what family role you're in. And there are 6 to 7 family roles that you could possibly be in. And I'm going to give you that in just a second. Let me just make sure. Let me make sure that the comments are changing around here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing some of you guys commenting, so I just want to make sure I didn't disconnect you. Citizen King, hello, welcome to the chat. I just saw you go through my chat section. Welcome. Glad to have you. Um, okay, let's go through those family roles. Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I got distracted by the chat here because it was glitching. I don't know why. Okay, so family roles that you could possibly be playing, and maybe you know it, maybe you don't know it. And the family roles don't always have to be what you think. The family role could be what your toxic family has forced you into, right? What it is that your toxic family has forced you into is what you become over time. So here is I think the most identified family role that occurs within toxic families, and this is backed up by research, and I'm going to post that in the description box for you for after this live chat. The first role is the identified patient. Now, you may be asking yourself, why would I be considered the identified patient in my family? Here's why, and it is very different from the scapegoat. Here's why. What happens in a family system that is toxic, you end up getting forced into a role where you not only become the scapegoat or the black sheep of the family, but you also start playing the role because you have a family who doesn't know how to address and tackle issues. And so they push you into the role of sick, problematic, needing mental help, needing behavioral help. It's you that has the issue. And if you get better, everybody's going to be okay. If you stop drinking, we're going to be happy. If you stop crying and having temper tantrums, we're going to be happier. If you just get the help that you need, everybody's going to be better. And that is not the case. So you may find yourself getting pushed into the role of the identified patient, right? And the family has put you in that role. It doesn't mean you've done anything to get yourself into that role. That is exactly what the family has done to you. They've pushed you in that role, and they've created this burden, right, that rests on your shoulders, which is if you get better, everything is going to be better, and that is not the case. Usually, in these families where this dynamic exists, usually the entire family unit is the problem, or there may be generations upon generations of issues there, but unfortunately, they have all been laid upon your shoulders. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Yeah. Okay. Identified patient. The other role that's very, I'm going to say it's complicated, right? Because it could sound like the identified client is the scapegoat. The scapegoat is the black sheep. Now, it's not like the whole issue is the family and they're placing the blame upon you. The scapegoat is this: it's you are like an outlier. You're outside of the bounds of our family. You don't function like we want you to. And because of that, you are now pushed outside of the family, and there you are on the outskirts of the family looking in, right? Saying, how did I get into this position of the black sheep? Because you are the outlier, right? And again, it may not be anything that you've done. It could just be this is the role that the family has pushed you into. Okay. And that's the difference between the identified patient and the scapegoat. The scapegoat or the black sheep, you're the outlier. The identified patient says you've been blamed for all the problems within your family. Okay, identified patient, scapegoat, or black sheep. The other family role that you may find yourself in is the lost child. Now, this is the role that you may play to stay outside of the toxic family dynamic. Let's say, for example, you've grown up in a household where mom is a narcissist and dad is a sociopath. Instead of having these loving parents who talk with you and guide you and want you to do certain things so you'll be a healthy adult, instead of them helping you develop over time, they have kind of forgotten you. And so you end up being that lost child that's confused about things, doesn't really have an identity, or maybe you do, but you're insecure, you're over in the corner, kind of blocking yourself from everybody else. Your defense walls are constantly up. And the best way for you to survive, at least in your mind, the best way to survive is to be the lost child and go over there somewhere and just stay over there, because I don't want to be a part of this toxic dynamic. And for the most part, the lost child, and I think this is my younger brother in some ways, they don't really have an identity that's consistent. Their identity kind of changes over time, and they end up really being stuck in the position of the baby, right? The baby of the family. You're the younger one. You're the one that just doesn't really know what he or she wants to do. So you can get forced into that lost child role, okay? There's also the enabler and the caretaker role and the hero. The hero kind of swoops in and saves the day. Let's say you're in a toxic family dynamic with both parents. The savior or the hero or the rescuer in your family may actually be your brother, who swoops in, mediates, clarifies things, makes things okay. The caregiver takes care of everybody, but they have a toxic nature also, because sometimes the caregiver wants people to depend on them. And that's a bad spot to be in. And then there is, of course, the enabler, the one that says, I'm going to let you do whatever you want to do. I'm going to let you push my buttons. You may feel like you're the enabler in some ways because that's how you keep the peace. I'll give you an example. Let's say your sister is a substance abuser. And instead of getting into a fight with your sister, you decide, I'm just going to pamper and I'm going to just go along and I'm going to placate so we can have a peaceful family, And so you can become the enabler over time in a very toxic family. You may not be meaning to, but that's the role that you're either pushed into or the role that you've played over time. There's also the parentified child. I know a lot of you are probably like, oh my God, I'm the parentified child. That is the individual within that toxic family who takes up the role as parent of siblings, younger siblings, older siblings, same age siblings. As the parentified child, you are then pushed in or forced into, in some toxic families, the role of the surrogate parent, while the real parent is over there getting drunk, over there doing drugs, over there dating guys or women, over there working all the time, whatever the case may be, you get forced into or put into the role of the parentified child. So, these are the roles. Let me just refresh our memory on this. These are the roles that you're likely to be in a very toxic family dynamic. It's not like you're just in this family unit where everything is unstable. And if we just work a little harder, things will get better. This is a dynamic. And what I mean by a dynamic is that your family functions like a city, right? All the lights are on, the cars are going, there's traffic, it's busy, there's chaos. Your family functions like a city, and everybody learns the rules that helps that city function a certain way, right? Another way I explain this is it's like being on a bus full of people. Everybody knows that when you get on the bus, you put the money in, you sit down, you wait for your turn, you pull the string or whatever that thing is called, and you get off at your bus stop. A family is the same exact way. You guys have learned how to function even if it's dysfunctional. Okay. So these are roles that you slip into and you can slip into unknowingly and knowingly within a toxic family. Before we move to the chat box and continue with this live chat, let me also mention one other role that you may fall into, and that's the mascot or the family clown. Now, you can either fall into that or somebody else. It's almost like this role that says, I can't deal with reality because reality hurts so much. The fact that I have a toxic family is so painful that I rather laugh about it all the time or joke about it all the time or give it some kind of twist or turn so I can deal with it better, right? So you can fall into that role, or you can become the victim to somebody, let's say a father, maybe a mother, who finds everything funny, and you don't feel heard, loved, understood, or cared for. Okay, guys? So these are all the family roles that you can slip into if you're in a toxic family. All right, let me go to the chat box. I see you guys commenting, and I also see some of your comments on the screen. Hello, Karen from Argentina. Oh my God, I want to go there one day before my time is up on this earth. I want to go there. It's a beautiful place. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Yes, NW. Hello. Welcome to the chat, by the way. Yes. In these toxic family situations, there are sides and favorites and favoritism. We're going to get into that a little bit too. Light Z Productions says, I'm a lost child role in my family currently, which bad. Yeah. Yes. The good part though about the lost child role is that you can always crawl out of that. You can come out of that over time. You don't have to be stuck in that, which is a really good thing. All the other family roles, the identified patient, the scapegoat, the not the lost child, but the scapegoat, the enabler, the hero, the parentified child. Those are the roles that you can get stuck in for many, many years. They're a little bit more toxic, if you will, than we think they are. But at least with the lost child, you can definitely get out of that over time. Hi, Georgette Gray. Welcome to the chat, and I'm glad to see you. I just want to make sure I'm understanding what. Okay, yes, very glad to see you. Welcome to the chat. Yes, Barbara Cludio, I hope I'm saying that correctly, says, I'm an outlier. Yes, absolutely. My mom is an outlier. My mom is so very different from my extended family. It's like she doesn't even really belong in the family. She's so different. There is one family member she is 100% like, and everybody agrees that she's like this aunt, this family member. But my mom has always been the outlier. My mom has always been the black sheep. She has become more humble, wise, religious, focused over time. And that started when my mom decided to homeschool me at the age of, I think I was in a third grade. I don't know, 8, 9, 10, somewhere around in there. And that's where her development kind of took over. and she became a dedicated mom and an even more dedicated mom. And so she kind of calmed down a little bit. But my mom before that was the black sheep of the family. She was going over this way while everybody was over there. My mom was just not like my family. And so she's an outlier. Outliers have it really tough within families because even if you've changed over time, even if you've gotten better over time, you're going to still be tagged that black sheep no matter what, you know? It's like you can't work that off of you. You're going to always have that label. And so for those of you who are the outlier or the black sheep, you probably know what I'm talking about. Take some time, look over your family history and see, have I been able to climb out of that role as the black sheep, or am I still in that role? My mom is still in that role, as calm and elderly as she is. She can't get out of it. She just can't. Um, Colibri Flyer, hello, welcome to the chat. Glad to have you tonight. Says, I've recently reconnected, with my second suspect narc sisters. One, I'm sure. The other one is the enabler. Yeah. I'm using my knowledge to deal with them. Distance from them plays a good role. Yeah, distance, boundaries, sticking to your boundaries and being consistent, all of that is important with siblings who are like this. Yeah, Kyra knows 144 says I'm the lone wolf. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, NW says black sheep get training to be leaders at some point. Sometimes they can. Sometimes they can. Wow. Yeah, I'm sure you guys can see Cherry Jubilee's comments. Where did they go? There you are. Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to you, Cherry's Jubilee. I am glad. Okay, so Karen says, I am glad I'm the one that broke this nonsense in this house. Yes, absolutely. And some people refer to that, Karen, as breaking generational curses, right? And I've said this in previous live chats with all of you that my brother and I, my cousins, we broke the family curse, so to speak. We decided to not continue down the road that our extended family went down. We decided to go different ways in our lives. It was kind of like we saw the fork in the road, and we decided, nope, I'm going to go this way. We're not going to deal with that anymore. We're not going to fail. We're going to stay in school. We're going to become judges. My cousin's a judge. My brother works for the government. So, like, there's different things that we intentionally did to become the people that we needed to become. And so, that's possible for you guys. And I see in your comments that you're talking about that. You can get out of the black sheep rule. You can move forward in a healthy way. And I'm going to tell you some ways how to do that in a little bit too. NW says, time to break this. Yep, very much agree. Light Inc. Z Production says, yes, breaking generation. I think you meant generational curses is totally important. That's how I'm going to summarize that. Yes, 100% agree. Barbara Claudio says, the problem with the dynamics of dysfunctional families is you put up a boundary and you get passive aggressive communication, the silent treatment, and you end up being cast out. 100%. Passive aggressive behavior is also narcissistic. If you just step back and take a look at it, it's more of like the covert narcissism that you may have read about or seen on YouTube or read about online. It's this undercover, I'm important, you're not going to step on my buttons like that, or you're not going to step on my toes. I'm going to see to it that I punish you in some way, shape, or form. So you probably, Barbara, could take a step back and look at that and say, oh yeah, that passive aggressive behavior is certainly narcissistic. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, while the comments on the screen are going through, let's jump into the second half of this, guys, just the second part of this conversation. We talked about family roles that you can get into when you are in a very toxic family dynamic. But did you know that after the holidays specifically, a lot of people go through post holiday depression? And what happens with post holiday depression is that we can sometimes get into the mindset of, I can't believe that my family is this way, and I am feeling all kind of emotions and experiencing all kind of thoughts because I can't believe my family is this way. And I'm going to tell you exactly what might be happening to you, and this may give you some insights into your own emotions about being connected to a toxic family, you know. So there's this um mindset or approach that's called existentialism, and really what it does is it focuses on a variety of things that we struggle with. I'll put it that way. And usually it's about isolation, it's about death, it's about meaninglessness in life, freedom, finding purpose. And so after the holidays, a lot of people go through what's called existential depression. Tell me in the comment box, guys, if you've experienced this. Existential depression. Here's what that is. It's, I am depressed because nothing in my world right now connects. I don't know why I have to be a part of this kind of a family. I don't know why God didn't just give me a better family. I don't know how to work myself out of this toxicity. And I certainly don't know how to accept that this is what I've got. Like, this is my lot right now. This is what I'm working with, which is probably not much if you're connected to a toxic family. So existential depression says, I'm at a loss. I have no answers and I don't know which way to go. And so therefore I become depressed. Existential depression. Existential anxiety says, I'm confused about the what, I'm confused about the who, and I'm confused about the why. I have so many questions and I don't know how to get them answered. None of the answers that I'm looking for have been brought up. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do, right? It's kind of like a lot of you when you come to my YouTube channel. The first thing that you guys, the first thing that you guys say to me is, I'm so glad I found your channel. I've been looking for this for years. And so that can cause existential anxiety. The fact that you haven't found a home that says you are validated, like this is really happening to you, you know? So existential anxiety can happen after the holidays. It is, I don't like this situation that I am now attached to or that I have to be a part of, and I'm just anxious about all of it, especially after the holidays. There's also what's called an existential crisis. And that's when you get to a certain place in your life where you start second guessing things and you start questioning. You start picking and pulling things apart, trying to figure out the why and the how, you know. And so when you get into the mindset of what's called an existential crisis, it's hard to crane yourself out of that. That can lead to deep depression. It can also lead to hopelessness and feeling helpless, you know, guys, because you're trying to understand what is going on in my life, right? You're trying to understand that, and not everything makes sense to you. And so you fall into this mindset and you feel stuck. And so that can become what's called, again, an existential crisis. Now, I've kind of played around with this term a little bit because sometimes you're not anxious and sometimes you're not depressed, but maybe you're in a state of restlessness after the holidays. Maybe you're in a state, anytime you deal with your toxic family, maybe you're in a state of restlessness where you have this discomfort. You don't like that you have to be connected to them, you know? And so I've labeled that existential discomfort. It's kind of in between anxiety and depression. You know, it's like, I'm frustrated, I'm restless, I don't like this. I wish I could change this. And it really makes life difficult for you to accept, manage, and deal with. All right, guys, let me go to the chat box, okay? Because I feel like I'm so lost in what you guys are saying to each other. So let me go back to the comments. This is so confusing, guys. So bear with me. I'm really trying to make this a calm experience for you. I don't want to make things choppy. Let me know if anything bad is happening or you can't see me. Um, Hello, Sunshine BD. Welcome to the chat. I'm so glad you found my channel. Welcome. Glad to have you tonight. Yeah. Colby Flyer says, I am using my knowledge, compassion, and understanding since they are family. My knowledge is power to safely deal with them. Yes, that is key. That is the best comment of the night, I think, because here's what you're saying. You're saying, I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to be passive aggressive. I'm not going to argue with you. We're not going to have confrontations. What I'm going to do is take the wise approach, and that is to use what God has given me up here, and I might be compassionate towards you. We'll have to see. Either way we flip this, I'm not going to fight with you. And so to me, that's a position of power in and of itself, because you're taking your power back. You're saying, I'm not going to give you any access to my heart and my mind anymore. You're not going to cause existential anxiety. You're not going to cause existential depression in my life. And you're certainly not going to make me feel restless and unsafe. So you really are like taking your power back. That's awesome. I love that. Jermaine Goldman, hello. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. Hi, Courtney Frazier. No, you do not have to apologize. I'm so glad to see you. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. I'm looking, guys. Daniel Reed, hello. I don't know if I welcomed you. Welcome to the chat. Says, I'm struggling to be all away and go back home. I don't know. I might be in the middle of a conversation. So I'm so sorry if that's choppy, because you might be talking. I missed half of that conversation, I'm sure. K Diamond Rock, hello, welcome to the chat. So glad to have you, and thank you for that sweet compliment. Thank you, thank you. Yes, I'm glad you found my channel as well. Welcome. Light Ink Z Production says, yes, I'm interested in breaking away from my family role as the lost child in a healthy way. I think I read that before. Yes, let me catch up, guys. Yeah. Cover Nose says, spot on. Yep. Live Life says, I think most toxic family members lack the self awareness to recognize the fact of their own dysfunction. Yes, 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 especially with generational trauma. Yeah. Oh, my Lord. That's so true. Yeah, you're right. Not all toxic family members are like that, right? But there is a small portion of family members, and you just look at them and you're like, don't you know that this is not okay? You know, I think in families where there's narcissism, where the parent, for example, is arrogant and they're haughty and they're pompous and they're egotistical, they really can't see themselves, right? If you have a parent who's a narcissist, they're probably affecting you negatively, possibly being critical, making you feel small, making you feel unloved, making you feel like you don't belong, and you're feeling all those emotions and you're hurting, and they're not, right? And so most narcissistic parents tend to be blind. It's like they have some other pair of glasses on, because they're not connected to what they're doing to you. And so you're right. I don't think people in toxic families, some toxic families can see themselves. They are very, very blind. We would call that mind blindness. We would call that a theory of mind deficit, meaning you don't have the ability to empathize, to see what you're doing to me, and to reframe. You don't have that ability. So, theory of mind deficit is what we would call it, or mind blindness. It's like you're not able to see like you should. Cascadia Condor, I hope I said that right. Hello, welcome to the chat. Says, definitely experienced existential crisis after visiting family. Learning about personality disorders has helped me to externalize the problem. Yes, but I still try so hard to understand the illogical. We all do. We all do. So you're not alone. When we can't, as human beings, understand something, we like to pick and pull it apart. And actually, I have a new video for you guys of the year tomorrow that's coming so that you can learn some new things at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. In that video, I discuss how desperately the field of psychology over many decades has tried to pick and pull apart the human mind. And we're still not as far along as we should be. We're still picking and pulling apart the human mind. So I can relate to that. I think we all try to still understand the illogical. That's just who we are. Phoenix says, I have been questioning everything down to my sexuality. I wanted to know the why I am the way I am and figured out we're all dysfunctional. But I'm the only one that wants to learn, change, and grow. Yeah, absolutely. If you find that you're the only one that wants to learn, change, and grow, you can consider that intergenerational trauma. We have a series of generations within our family that doesn't want to do anything, or they tried and failed. But I don't want to be that way. And so if that's you, Phoenix, which is great, then you are breaking the curse of intergenerational trauma. Hello, Melcap. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight. Says, I feel like this all the time, not just after holidays. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because this can happen to you all throughout the year, all throughout the year, not just after the holidays. After the holidays, however, most psychologists and researchers are doing research on post-holiday depression. And so you're going to see that topic of post-holiday depression pop up just about everywhere after Christmas, hence the reason for this video. But you can definitely feel this way outside of the holidays. Ezel Dublin, I hope I said that correctly. Welcome to the chat. Glad to see you too. Says, good to hear you live. First timer. So glad you tuned in. Welcome. All right, guys. Let's jump back into the content, okay? Because we're on point. I can't believe that we're actually on the right time. We're going to wrap up here in the next 15 minutes. Let me go ahead and give you guys some things that you can do to heal from a toxic family. You guys ready? Because a lot of you contact me outside of YouTube and outside of chats where you're asking me, how do I heal? How do I make it from point A to point B? Okay, and then I'm gonna go back and look at your comments, and then we'll wrap up. Okay, guys? So here's the first thing I often encourage my clients to do. They come to me after the holidays and they say, Tamara, I had somebody the other day say this, Tamara, I'm either going to take my own life or I have to separate from my family. Like there's no in between. I'm either going to do something drastic or I've got to get out of this position in my mind and in my heart. So how do I do it? And so here's the first thing that I suggested to her, and I suggested for you as well. Learn to be okay with not being okay. The moment you recognize it's okay for me to feel betrayed by my family, feel angry by them or because of them, excuse me, to feel confused, to feel some guilt, to feel some shame. It's okay that I'm not okay with this kind of a family that I have. It's okay. Once you start to tell your mind that it's okay that I am here in my heart and my mind, it's okay that I have identified my family as toxic. It's okay that I recognize there's a lot of problems. Once you become comfortable with that, not being okay, then you can move to the next step. The video that just went viral over the holidays, I had a lot of people say thank you for this and thank you for making this a safe space, or oh my god, I can't believe I found this video on YouTube. But there had to be at least 5 comments that I got from people who were totally against the video, and they said things to me like, I can't believe that anybody would want to walk away from their family is everything. Somebody else said, I can't believe that there's people that actually is thinking about walking away from their family. There were multiple comments like that, and I'm just like scratching my head as I'm reading this comment, and I'm like, this can't be true. Like this is horrible. You must be the family member that somebody ran from, because family there's no difference between outside relationships and family relationships. If you ask me, some people would not agree with that. They would say, well, we're blood and we're not with other people. For me, whether you're blood or not, if you're being abused, neglected, harmed, hurt, it's okay to say that. And it's okay to say, you know what, I don't want you in my life anymore. You're out of here. And that's just how I see that. Now, should you forgive and make it work or try to make it work? Of course. But if you're at a place in your life where you're like, I can't do this, that's okay. So learn to be okay with not being okay. The second thing that I suggest is accept the process of walking away as a grief and loss process. You're probably going to miss your family. You're probably going to second guess. You're probably going to blame yourself. But I think it's okay to look back over your steps, or maybe you're considering walking away. I think it's okay to look at that as a grief and loss process. Because you're walking away from something you've been connected with, or maybe you already have walked away. But be okay with not being okay, and be okay with accepting, because you have to at some point, that that's really like a loss. So it's okay for me to grieve. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Remind yourself, this is the third one, remind yourself that a family is not static, it's dynamic. Over time, your family is going to change. Maybe you guys were once close and now you aren't. Maybe you guys were enemies at one time and now you aren't. Try to find, I'll put it this way, try to find some way to keep in the forefront of your mind that a family is very much like a city. It runs as a unit, a system. It is okay that my family is dynamic. It's not going to stay one way all the time. And I think some people come to me thinking, I'm going to tell them, go back into your family, even though even because the dust has settled. That's what I'm trying to say. The dust has settled. Everybody seems okay. It's okay if you go ahead back into the lion's den. And that's not what I suggest. Keep in mind that a family system is like a city. It functions a certain way. It's like a bus. Everybody knows what to do, and they've kind of gotten comfortable in their roles. That's what I'm trying to say. I kind of botched that up earlier, guys. I'm getting tired. But you want to keep in mind at all times, my family is static. It's my family is not static. It's dynamic. It's going to change over time. It's going to change over time. All right. Keep that in mind. Now, hold on, guys, because I'm seeing something on my end that is distracting me. Okay, hopefully you guys, as long as I'm okay, my side is showing that I'm a little bit delayed. Hopefully you guys are okay. And I know you guys will probably let me know. Oh, yes. Oh, that's so sweet of you, Barbara. Thank you so much for that. Let me know if anything has happened on your end, because my side looks weird. All right, I'm going to keep going though. I know you'll let me know if something's weird or off. I'll wait to see what you guys tell me. Okay, the next one that I suggest, so this is the fourth one. This is another way to kind of heal from this toxic family dynamic. You want to redefine not only the holidays, but every day of your life. When you walk away or you have walked away, now you've got to recreate who you are, right? You have to kind of transform your mind, your heart, your soul. It's a process, right? So learn to redefine your existence, your life. Reparent yourself is another thing that I tell my clients to do. Learn how to accept that this is the family that I have. This is who I am. This is who I want to be. This is who I'm becoming. And I've got to build that up so that I can be a stable, functioning adult. And I've got to leave that toxicity over there. So reparent yourself. And I will post in the description box for you what I mean by reparenting, because there's an actual ABC 1, 2, 3 process as to how to reparent yourself and redefine your life. You also want to ask yourself some questions. We can call them existential questions. You want to ask yourself, am I okay with this? And if so, why? Give yourself a why, right? Because again, you could look over, what you've done. You can look over your family and start feeling guilty, or, feel like you're to blame, or feel like something's wrong, or you've done something wrong. So give yourself a why. Give yourself a why. Ask yourself, am I okay with this? Am I okay walking away? Am I okay being away? And if yes, why? Give yourself a why. You also want to ask yourself, did my family foster a healthy mindset? Did they foster a healthy mindset, or did they create within me these bad feelings? Did they create within me low self-esteem? Did they create within me this negative mindset towards myself? Am I confused in my own identity? Was there active listening where my family listened and heard me, really heard me, or wasn't that present, right? So you want to go through all of that in your mind. It's kind of like a it's kind of like self-therapy. You're asking yourselves all these questions that are kind of like spiritual questions. You're trying to figure out where your heart and your mind is and where your soul is, right? So it's okay to ask yourself those questions. You also want to avoid recreating trauma. So let's say you've walked away from a very narcissistic parent relationship. You know, the parent child relationship has always been rocky. Dad's a narcissist, mom's a narcissist, but they're a narcissist in two different ways. One's a covert narcissist. They kind of, you know, under the surface they hide, and the father, for example, is an overt narcissist, so they're kind of out there and egotistical. Whatever the case, you know, I think with a family system like this, both parents are narcissistic. You have to figure out, you know, how to kind of detach emotionally and psychologically from that damage so that you don't recreate that trauma in your new life, right? In your new relationships, in your healthy relationships, right, guys? So you want to avoid recreating that trauma in your life. I also think too, and I'm just processing because I don't want to miss anything. I also think too, you want to identify the role that you play within your family. Am I the identified patient? Am I the black sheep? You know, am I the parentified child? Because once you recognize the role that you play, you can step out of that role over time as you grow, develop, mature, and heal. Usually, when my clients come to me with toxic family situations, they say, I don't know who I am. And I don't know what I actually want. I just know I want to be away from my toxic family. And that's when I tell them, this is where, sorry, guys, this is where, you know, this is where I want you to identify what role you play. Because if you know that you're the black sheep, you have to take certain steps to get out of that role. If you know you're the identified patient, you've got to take certain steps to get out of that role. So identify what your role actually is within your family. Okay, one last thing. I think it's important before we go back to the chat box and we wrap up. I think it's also important to ask yourself, was my toxic family trying to survive, right? Were they trying to survive and therefore survive without the right mental health, the right boundaries, the right idea of what a healthy relationship is? And so that survival that we all have to have as humans, we have to survive the world, right? Did that survival cause within me some issues? In other words, in the process of my family surviving, were they toxic because of that, right? They were trying to survive, but they were doing all the wrong things while trying to survive, right? And if that's the case, how do I step out of that pattern so I don't recreate that in my own world? All right, guys, let me go back to the chat box and then we are going to wrap up. Hello. I don't know how to say that. I'm going to totally mess it up, but I want to welcome you. I'm going to say B. B says, hi, everyone. Welcome to the chat. Glad to have you. Yes, Princess is in agreement. Yep, agree. Sunshine BD says, I stopped chasing toxic family members and in laws. I stopped chasing toxic family members and in laws. I like that because part of chasing could be I'm going to text you back, or I'm going to leave you a voicemail. I'm going to call you. I'm going to send you a Christmas card. I'm going to send you a birthday card. Sometimes you just need to take the hands off approach. Like, this is not okay. The relationship is toxic. I'm just not going to try because it's not healthy, even when I do try. NW says, sometimes it feels like no hope because the family can be something else at different levels for some people, but there is hope. It's just a different strategy that works for your mental health there. Ooh, I'm not understanding that. Maybe you guys can see the comments, so maybe you can make better sense out of that than I did. Let me also say too, before we get ready to wrap up here, that if you're in a toxic family dynamic, it's really easy to look at other family members and say, "Why does it work for you, but it doesn't work for me?" I had a client today that asked me that. She's like, "Why is it that my brother can be like this with my family, but I can't? Like, what's the difference between the two of us? We were raised alike. We're actually fraternal twins. We went to the same school. We had the same experiences. We were playing on the same soccer team. We both got married before having children or anything else. Like, we lived the same life. Why is it that it works for my brother within that toxic family dynamic, but it doesn't work for me?" And that's where I think it's important to do that introspection by asking yourself, what role did I play in my family? Did I have any behaviors, that may have created some friction at some point and somebody's holding a grudge against me? Or, is my family full of intergenerational trauma that's now affecting me? Do I do certain things that reminds my family of somebody else that was the black sheep in the family? Like, those questions help you explore why maybe life with your toxic family doesn't work for you, but it works for a sibling or somebody else. So I think it's good to ask those questions. All right, let me continue to go through the chat box, guys, and then we are going to wrap up. Sean Hammer says, "I'm getting guilt and shame for pulling away after I was threatened with being cut off 2021. Hmm. Wait, I think I'm missing a different part of Sean Hammer. Yeah. Yeah, let me target that first part of that sentence. So I'm getting guilt and shame for pulling away. That is a very normal process, Sean Hammer. You pull away, you either can feel the guilt or shame, or other family members can throw things onto you to cause you to feel guilt or shame, or they can box you in a corner, right, where they're trying to shame you and make you feel guilty for walking away. That's a very normal response in a toxic family. Yeah. K Diamond Rock says, I don't have not one member of my family that's for me, and it's depressing." Absolutely. That's what we call existential depression. It's I can't make sense out of that, or I don't understand what's going on, or I can't process where I'm at. Something just it perplexes my mind and I can't find the answers for it. Existential depression, because K Diamond Rock, you start to feel like you're feeling, I have not one person in my family who understands me. And so then the brain naturally goes to, well, what's wrong with me? Why doesn't that work? Why can't I make this work? Right. And so we call that negative self-talk. You start beating yourself up trying to find out, or trying to figure out, I should say, why this is happening to you. And so then boom, there's existential depression. L. Witherspoon says, "Yes, I call it generational curses, trying to break those chains, and I'm considered the outsider." Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes breaking that intergenerational curse of toxicity in the family, sometimes by walking away and saying, "Nope, we're not doing this," putting up that healthy boundary is a very nice way to break the family curse, because now family members who put up with nonsense for many generations are now looking at you saying, "Wow, why didn't I think to do that?" You know? All right, guys, I see there might be some more new comments. Hello, Liberty Can. Oh, welcome to the chat. So glad to have you. I'm sorry, I saw you earlier and I couldn't stop to acknowledge you. Welcome to the chat. All right, guys. I see what Princess is saying before we go. They enjoy hurting us. I don't know what you guys are referring to or what you are referring to there, but let me highlight that for a second. You may have some family members who have what's called the dark triad traits, which is a set of personality traits that are dark. I talk about it tomorrow in my video coming up. The dark triad has three important characteristics. Okay. One is narcissism. So there's narcissism at the core of the dark empath. or the dark triad. Then triad personality. Then we have psychopathy. So they have psychopathic tendencies, right? So they're callous, cold, irresponsible, hurtful, angry, the list goes on. But then for you, Princess, you mentioned they enjoy hurting us. The term is Machiavellianism. Machiavellianism. I explain it in my video tomorrow. It's really the personality trait that says, I get pleasure out of boxing you into a corner, making you feel unloved, making you feel rejected, making you feel like you've done something wrong. It's not that I'm angry with you per se. It's I like the feeling of seeing you upset. I like the feeling of seeing you feel guilty or, have these negative feelings. Machiavellianism. You'll learn more tomorrow. Hello, V. Welcome to the chat. So glad to have you tonight and all the wonderful, what do you call those things? Emojis. Emojis. Welcome to the chat. All right, guys, let's wrap this up because I was late and now we're talking and I'm going to keep talking and explaining things. I probably should sign off. Let me just acknowledge Christina R. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Says, boy, was it hard these holidays going no contact with my sister. I feel like I'm a blur. If I'm a blur on the screen, guys, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. Boy, was it hard these holidays going no contact with my sister, who is a huge narcissist, especially because I have nephews. Yeah, if you're dealing with a narcissistic family system and everybody in the family is a little narcissistic, when you put up that boundary of going no contact, they're going to challenge it. And if they don't challenge it, then they're probably going to get upset with you. Something bad is going to happen in that dynamic. That's not abnormal. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being patient with me tonight in my crazy schedule. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you very much, Cascadia Condor, for making that clear. I hope this was helpful to you guys. Let me know in the chat box how you liked seeing your comments on screen. If you like that, I will continue that. I will just continue to use this program. I think it really does help engage you guys a little bit more. You're welcome, Dragon Man Sassin. You're welcome. Yes, blessings to you as well, Annie Walker. Thank you. Yep, you're welcome. Awesome. You're welcome. Yeah, that's awesome. So glad to hear it was helpful. Yeah, wonderful. All right, guys, have a wonderful, safe weekend, and I will see you very, very soon. Good night.